kitchen this morning. We're going to be doing, I guess I could probably do it without a background, but we're going to do it with a background for right now. Because I'm just going to be peeling handy dandy potatoes. We're going to be having some potato cubes. It's going to be quite the breakfast this morning. And we're going to be talking about true crime, why I prepare breakfast. So our breakfast this morning is going to be potatoes and onions. If you don't like onions, I would recommend. I love the flavor of onions. Okay, it just gives everything. So if you don't like the onion chunks, just cut the onion in quarters and put the onion in there in quarters, or just stuff like this size. You know what I'm saying. So you can pull it out and you don't have to worry about eating it, but you can get some flavor. Anyway, so we're doing basically like a fried potato and onions with a little bit of garlic, and I put a little bit of heat in my potatoes. Not much, just something to give it a little spice. So I use a little bit of the Everglades seasoning heat, and I'm kind of liking this, and this is just a cheap blackening. This is Markham cheap blackening seasoning, and then so I just put a little bit of that in the potatoes. So why am I making breakfast this morning? It's because I've been lacking on doing meals, and Glenn's been kind of taking care of me, and I haven't been making anything. So I said I'd make breakfast this morning, and I was going to make a hearty breakfast. So we're going to do cubed potatoes. We're going to do sliced ham. I got this, picked this whole thing up for like $9. This will last several breakfasts. I keep it in the freezer, kind of, sort of. I keep it almost frozen, but not frozen. It keeps it really, really fresh to last long past the expiration date, but, it lasts me quite a bit. It lasts me quite a bit, and it's ham, so it stays good, pretty good. So we're going to do potatoes, we're doing ham, and then the secret, dun, 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 we are going to be making, I know you guys can't see it. I put it right there. There we go. We're going to be making some French toast. And I went all out and got the Texas toast for the French toast this morning. So we're going to be making some French toast, ham, potatoes, fried potatoes, and then lastly, we're going to have I'm going to drop some eggs. So it's going to be a very, very hearty breakfast. And that's kind of where we are. So I've already washed my hands, but I've wiped my nose. So my nose is going to be driving me crazy because I've got allergies. So I'm going to have to wash my hands multiple times this morning because it's starting to get cold outside. And when it gets cold, I don't know why, but when it gets cold, my nose drips. I don't know why, but it does. So we'll be washing our hands quite a bit, even though I'm making this for us. So guys, we had a lot of different information coming out. I got to watch Stacey Wonder. Holy crap. First and foremost, let me just say it like this. Let me get the other thumbnail up. Stacey Wonder looks nothing like he looks here. Okay? He is very, very thin. Much thinner than I anticipated, which was pretty shocking to me. Moreover, it was even more shocking to me that he's been in jail. I heard that he was serving a sentence. What the hell did he get charged with in Arizona? I didn't even know he was living in Arizona, but clearly he can't keep his ass out of trouble for whatever reason. I haven't been keeping up to why he was in jail. I know why Sarah's in jail. I think she's still in jail for that threatening somebody with a firearm. She's a felon. She can never own a firearm again. But I was really, really shocked. He did not fight extradition. So he's in Arizona. He went before. I thought he looked like he was wearing street clothes, but people were saying that he's in jail. So I don't know what it is, but he didn't fight extradition. He's gonna willfully come back to Idaho to face these charges, and they've charged him with, first degree. I'm pretty sure first degree homicide. Might be a second degree homicide of Michael Monkey Vaughn, but I think it's first degree. And if it's first degree, then they've got quite the evidence put together that they've compiled, which is a good thing because we've been sitting here for quite some time, wondering when we are going to get an arrest, because the last time we heard from JD Huff, you know, they were just putting the final touches on the file, and we were expecting arrests like 2 years ago. And that day never came around, never came around, never came around. And we're all like, okay, well, you know, our common sense tells us that this child, you know, obviously they weren't able to get the evidence together or satisfy the state attorney to bring charges. You know, we're obviously thinking that they must be short on something. They can't connect them to this crime or something. And nothing ever happened, nothing ever happened. And so I was just shocked, because we all know Brandy was struggling. She was struggling with her health. And I won't lie. I was honestly, I was terrified that she wasn't going to make it to see her son's villains, monsters, go, you know, be held accountable. I was very, very, very fearful that she would never see the day that her son's, and it broke my heart, I won't lie. The thought of it broke my heart. And so I actually got emotional over the thought of her not being able to see the day where her killers, because she knew who it was. By this time, she knows, you know, who it is. She's just waiting, patiently waiting for them to get arrested. And it's like week after week, month after month, year after year, Brandy Neal sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for the day that she can seek justice and see justice, real justice for her baby boy. Where she went to work one day and he was perfectly healthy, just another normal day, and within a few minutes, her whole entire world comes crumbling down, and she has been living a nightmare ever since, including her own health and body giving out as she's fighting for her son. And it's just, it's hard, but now we're here. And so I was watching Stacey Wandra, and Stacey Wandra was in there, you know, talking to the judge. He seemed very matter of fact. He seemed very unfazed by these charges, almost as if expected. He, you know, talked to the judge. He realized that fighting extradition was just going to be a waste of time. He's in jail. So he told the judge that, you know, he's not going to fight extradition. He's willing to go back, send him back. So that's one of them, not fighting extradition, not going to kick up a fuss. I believe Sarah Wandra is still in Idaho. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that Sarah Wandra is still in Idaho, carrying out a sentence of her own. So if that's the case, they won't need to extradite her, but it sounds like Stacey got himself into a pickle in Arizona. Lo and behold, it's like this frickin' idiot can't keep his ass out of trouble. So this is all I do with my potatoes. I don't know if you guys can see those. See how small they are? I just make little and anything bigger than like a square, I cut it down. I cut it down. Like these right here, when I cut them, they're entirely too big. So they need to be cut in half. And make a nice little square. See? So that's how I make my potatoes. I don't know how you make your potatoes, but sometimes I do quarters, sometimes, but I've been really getting into these squares. I find that they brown better. They cook more even when they're little squares like this versus like the half moons. But the half moons work well. I don't know what got me into doing the squares. Never used to do the squares, but here recently I've been doing them like all the time now. And I don't know where it came from, but apparently that's what I want to do. So that's what we're teaching this week: squared potatoes, squared little chunky potatoes. You can and you can do a lot of different stuff with this stuff too. You can add, this can be a meal in and of itself. If you don't have a whole lot, you can chunk this ham up, throw some chunked ham in there, and you got yourself a little potato meal, all like a skillet meal. Sorry, I'm making sure my potatoes are small enough. I don't like them too chunky, because if they're too chunky, then you have mushy potatoes. You got some that are mushy potatoes and some that are crispy potatoes. So you got to make them as even as possible. You need to make it, so they cook even. So. Then we have, so we had the Wandras, and immediately, we didn't know who they were really. And then we started looking into them, and we were like these right here, these are almost perfect. Just little squares. Just little squares. We started looking into the Wandras ourselves, and one thing I can tell you that I noticed right away is Stacy and Sarah Wandra, in my opinion, have something wrong with them. I mean, other than, they're creeps or whatever, I think that they both have a mental illness or a learning disability of some sort. They when you talk to them, I mean, they make sense. They're not like, they understand what you're saying, you understand what they're saying, but I feel like there's like they have a learning disability of some sort. Like they're not firing on all cylinders. There's something wrong with them mentally, in my opinion. Now, is that true? I don't know. That's an assumption I'm making because I've watched their mannerism, I've watched their behavior, and and the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't feel like they were the instigators of whatever, happened out in their neighborhood. I don't feel like they were the ones that instigated those things. I feel like, they were impressionable. They are easily manipulated. Now, I don't know that to be true. They might be horrible, evil people. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I feel like Brandon and Adrian are more the masterminds of whatever goes on. Like when I look at Stacy and Sarah, I see, I don't know if it's politically correct to say a slow person, somebody that looks like they were in special classes. If you talk to them, you can kind of see it, especially in I think you can really see it. I don't know, because I haven't heard Stacy really talk or Sarah really talk. I've only heard Stacy really talk. I feel like you can see it more in Stacy than you can in Sarah, but that's only because he's been more vocal. But when you go and watch Sarah's or read Sarah's social media, you kind of get the same kind of impression that something just isn't right upstairs with either one of them. I don't know if it's mental illness. I don't know if it's a learning disability, if it's some kind of regular disability. I don't know. It just seems like there's something there. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Saturday morning. I'm cooking a huge breakfast this morning for me and Glenn. And I might not actually go over it. Laura, my best friend, she's been not doing too well. She's been having a gland on the side of her neck or throat really swelling up on her. And she's she's predisposed to cancer already, so we already know that that there is that possibility, you know, and if you know anything about my best friend, she lost her husband of 40 some odd years. She's been, well, I won't tell you her last name. She's been her last name for longer than she's been her maiden name for. And by about 30 years, I think. Something like 30 years. And she kind of had to let go of her insurance, like many other households. You got to make, you know, make decisions, make family decisions that you don't want to make, the tough decisions you don't want to make, but you have to make. And so she had to do away with her insurance because she's now taking care of her grandkids. And I just do a little, like 2 little scoops like that of garlic into my potatoes. And then I use some salt and pepper, just regular salt and pepper to make sure that we season up the potatoes a little bit. I go a little heavy-handed because they're potatoes with the salt, because it's hard to season the potatoes, so I go a little heavy-handed with the salt and the pepper lightly, but I'm lighter on my spices. Like I throw a little bit of garlic and a little bit of onion powder in here, but from outside of the salt, I don't go very heavy-handed. I just kind of dust the top of the stuff, and then I'll mix it up once I got my seasoning. So I just use cheap little, this is onion powder, Great Value onion powder, Great Value garlic powder, and I just dust the top, you know, just sprinkle a little bit on the top. Then I'm just going to sprinkle this right here. I go very light because I don't know how it tastes. If I do, so far I've been using it very lightly, lighter than just dusting. I just put very little bit, just enough to put a little color in the top. Now this right here is very powerful stuff. You don't need a whole lot of this, and this is the Everglades heat. You don't, and I mean don't just sprinkle a little bit in the middle, okay? You don't really need a whole lot of Everglades seasoning. If you ever use any type of Everglades seasoning, that is the truth. You don't need a whole lot. Okay, now we're getting here. At this point, your potatoes should be sticking if you're using a metal. I just take about 2 tablespoons of butter. That's it. And then I mix it up, make sure everything's coated. I did throw about a half a tablespoon of, olive oil in the bottom of the pan before I put the onions and the potatoes in originally. I forgot to tell you guys that, so you guys know. See that? And you can already see that the potatoes are already starting to get, let's get this off. You can already see the potatoes are already starting to get a little bit of a brown on them. That's what you want. So I just cover them. I turn it on to about a 2. So I'm going to let the steam cook it. Sorry, don't want you to see my ugly cabinets. I got a lot of stuff up there. It's got a little bit. I like that. So there you guys have it. We're doing the potatoes. Those need to cook about 10 or 15 minutes before we start getting into our ham. I'm going to break this off. We're going to get the big pieces of ham here. Throw a couple pieces of ham down, and then we'll start mixing our eggs in our solution for our dipping of our French toast. And we've got a handy dandy griddle here too. So the griddle's right here. We'll be using that, and I think that'll be easier. And I've got this in the pan, so if you guys want to see that. Oops. They're already starting to brown, as you can see. They're just little chunky squares. I don't know why I'm starting with the squares. I've been kind of, I don't know, kind of like the squares. That's all there is to it. I kind of like the squares. So anyways, getting back to this case, you guys know how I feel about Melodee Buzzard. Oh, guys, look at this. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I wasn't about to show you guys this. Hold on, let me turn this off real quick. Look at this. Look at this. This board. This board. Look at that board, right? Cutting board. Got a little dip in it and everything. Nice, huh? $3.99. $3.99. So now that I'm at a stopping point, let me go up and say hi to everybody. Hi, guys. It's nice to see you. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We occasionally do this cooking and true crime thing, and that's kind of what we're doing this morning because I'm out of time. I don't have time to sit down with you guys this morning because I'm supposed to be going over to my BFF, kind of, sort of. I might. She called me last night. I was like, oh my gosh, I was wondering where you called, because she always calls me, you know, on a Friday night. So I always wait for it, but I didn't hear from her yesterday. I thought maybe she wasn't going to call me. I was like, so I'm sitting in bed, and then finally the phone rings, and I'm like, well, hello. And so I'm like, I was expecting you to call me hours ago. And she's like, well, you know. I got the honey ham. I think it was a good choice. It had brown sugar, but I thought it would be too sweet with the French toast, you know, because we do have a little bit of brown sugar that goes into the French toast. We're going to do the French toast right. So if you guys never made French toast before, the easiest thing you need to do, but trust me, it's not just eggs and milk, okay? If your mama taught you just the eggs and milk, you're doing it wrong, okay? Mama Bullhorn will teach you. Mama Bullhorn. Well, actually, I guess I gotta say Bullhorn Betty, because Mama Bullhorn, Mama Bullhorn, I think does hers a little different. I think she does hers a little different. Well, it's nice to see ya. The real me too, Oakley, Lisa B. Always, Vicky. It's nice to see you, Melanie. Good morning. Good morning, ladies. Seclusion. It's nice to see you, Pete. If you guys don't know what I do, me and my neighbor's elderly. He's retired. He's kind of, hey, Pink Warrior. He's kind of like the neighborhood guy, right? The neighborhood watch guy. And normally, you know, I'm always like, it's like, do we really have to have the nosy neighbor? But I've appreciated the nosy neighbor, okay? And here's why. Because when I get back to traveling, which if you have been with me for a while, you know that I travel all over the country. If you've been with me just recently or over the last year and a half, you probably haven't seen me travel. We don't normally not travel, okay? We go to the front of these cases. We go directly out there to these cases. And we give you guys a front row of these cases like you would see on CNN or your News Nation or something like that, right? Over the last couple years, we haven't been able to do that because I've been in court and have had to salvage all the money that we can for lawyers and legal expenses. This is a small channel, you know, we're basically a viewer-sponsored channel. So when we have legal problems, things kind of, the production comes to a standstill until we get through those problems. But at the end of the day, in this case, I would have probably most likely at the beginning been out in front of this woman's house. When it comes to Melodee Buzzard and Ashlee Buzzard, I've got a lot of questions when it comes to this, and I'm not boating. Like it's getting to the point where I'm literally screaming at the computer now when I see mainstream media about the case, because nobody is stopping and saying, wait a minute. This whole entire story that we were told at the beginning has completely changed 180. Like everything that we knew at the beginning is not true. Everything law enforcement told us is not true. I don't like that. I don't like the way I'm feeling when it comes to this case. I feel like they're railroading this mother. I don't feel like this child is in danger. I just feel like she doesn't want to tell them where she put the child. And they are just tearing her entire life up until they can either prove probable cause to force her to tell them, or, you know, I don't believe this child is in harm's way. Nobody has been able to prove that. Like, they weren't in this child's life for years while she was being taken care of by her mother, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're up her crawl. And they want to know why but nobody, this is where I have a huge problem, is law enforcement has willfully, and so has mainstream media, because they get the same reports I do about this woman. They probably have better reports than I do about Ashlee. And you can clearly see she lived in Iowa. You can clearly see she lived in Iowa. Okay, it's right there in her background. So why is none of them telling their audience this? Why is none of them presenting that information, that factual information to the public? It seems to me that it is in bad faith, because they're not wanting to paint the picture that needs to be painted here, because it surely looks like that county had a paperwork issue and turned that paperwork issue into a federal investigation. That's what it looks like from where I'm standing. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm not a smart woman. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. And I know that these mainstream media places got a hell of a lot more money than Bullhorn Betty, and they got a lot of attorneys and a lot of people with a lot of higher education than Bullhorn Betty. But I have a problem that none of them are asking these very, very important questions. Like, because usually in any other situation, we ask these things called questions when things don't make sense. We usually just don't parrot what law enforcement says just because they're telling us to say it. I mean, mainstream media kind of does that here recently, but they didn't used to. They used to ask questions like, why did the case change so wildly? You know, we were originally told that this child was, gone for a year. Clearly, she was with her mommy where she was supposed to be as of October 7th. So why all of a sudden do you believe this child's in harm's way if you originally thought nobody saw this child in a year and clearly she was with her mother happy and healthy on the 7th? After you knew that this child wasn't missing for a year, that's when that missing person case should have come to an end, but it hasn't. Why? Because they're demanding this woman tell them where her child is. And my question is how in the hell does the government have a right to come into your house, tell you where you can go with your own child, and then when you didn't answer a question, then force you to tell you where you put your child? That's the flipping government that works for me. I've got a problem with this, and I'm just, this whole getting along to get along, and, oh my God, she's got to be dead, what? I see nothing. Usually I'm the one that's here saying, oh my gosh, this child's dead, oh my gosh, damn mother again, damn mother. It's usually me, it's usually mainstream media that's on the side of caution and saying, wait a minute, this, that, and the other, and I'm the one that's usually jumping straight to the ending. What the hell's going on in this case? Because something ain't sitting right with me. It just isn't sitting right. I speak when I speak. And if something ain't sitting right, it ain't sitting right, folk. It ain't sitting right, it ain't sitting right. There's nothing I can do about it. But at the end of the day, this is not sitting right with me. And I just want to know why law enforcement has changed their statement, why they haven't corrected the statement. That's the other problem I have. The lack of correcting the statement, right? That's really got to me, because I don't understand. If they're looking for this child, why they don't know where this child's at, okay? And the reason why, that must have had a frozen egg. Huh, interesting. I'll grab another egg. One of my eggs were frozen. I couldn't use it. But, and it seems like nobody, literally nobody from mainstream media, nobody online are parroting my sentiments at all. So obviously I'm probably the only one of many that has this belief that this child is okay and being removed so she doesn't have to say. I mean, I don't even know if they even have, technically, I don't even know if they have probable cause to force her to tell them where her child is. I don't know. I just don't like this because I feel like that nobody's helped this woman. She's had to do all of this crap all by herself. This family, Rubiel's family, this is what I think happened. Rubiel's family has been looking for this child, and I feel like they're the ones that sparked this investigation to find the child so they can try to make another leap at taking this child from her, and I think she knows it. And now whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. Little spot of milk in the mixture. So now I just have eggs, milk. We're going to put, I'm going to bring the other stuff over here. Now I put in a little bit of, just a little pinch, about a teaspoon of brown sugar in my mixture. Kind of like, well, maybe a little more than a teaspoon, just a little pinch. I put that in my egg mix. We're going to put some cinnamon, which many people already naturally put cinnamon in their mix. I don't know how much I put in. I just sprinkle it on the top until it looks kind of like that. You guys can see that. There you go. Just a little bit on the top. And then my secret is nutmeg, okay? I put a couple sprinkles of nutmeg in there and a tablespoon of vanilla extract, pure vanilla extract, about a tablespoon of that. Okay. And that's really it. And then I mix it all together. And it gives you kind of this weird looking egg wash that has brown specks all in it. And you want to make sure that those brown specks are not chunky. You want to make sure that those brown, because those brown specks are the nutmeg and the cinnamon. And you should be able to smell it. And if it smells like ice cream, like vanilla ice cream, then you got the right mixture. If it smells like vanilla ice cream, you got the right mixture. And then all we do is we've already got our skillet ready. We're going to make 3. Get these up. The last thing we're going to make is eggs over easy, and those are going to be literally the very last thing, because once those are out, then I'm going to have to walk over next door and serve those to Glenn. I'm making mine scrambled, so I don't have to worry about that, but for Glenn's, I'm going to make his. And if you guys have a compost machine, all your eggshells can be crushed and put into your compost machine, just to let you know. I compost all of my vegetable scraps. So any celery, onions, anything that comes out of the ground goes into my compost machine, including eggs. I crush eggs up and put eggs in my compost machine. Eggs are very, 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 very good. Okay, so now we got that up. It's time to start dunking. So all you do is you just dunk. You take your piece of bread, you dunk. Throw it in the mixture, you dunk. You flip it over, you dunk. You pick it up, you throw it on the griddle. Same thing. Take another piece, dunk it, flip it over, dunk it, take it, put it over to the griddle. I'm not going to worry about my hands because I'm using the rest of the bag. So if I get some mixture inside the bag, I'm not really caring about it because it's going to be going in the garbage as soon as I'm done with this. So now we put another. Looks like I'm going to be able to get 4, but I'm going to have to move some of the ham around so I can get 2 more pieces of bread on the skillet. So we got the bread, we got the ham. Okay, we made room. We made room. And the mixture I make literally covers the bread. It is a perfect amount of eggs, mixture, because look at this. I'm literally taking my last piece of bread and going into my thing to make sure that it's coated. Every bit of bread and egg mix has been used. So that was perfect. I timed that perfect. And then you just got to flip everything over. The potatoes are done. The ham is almost done. We're going to plate this, and then we're going to come back and have a good conversation about true crime after I plate the food. One of the things I do here, because I'm lazy, is I invest. Woo! Almost broke your coffee cup. B. Betty, that was the new one you got me, the do not disturb. Woo! That came flying out. Clean up my area here. Okay, where's my rag? Okay, paper plates, folks. Paper plates. Paper plates are your friend. So. All right, getting along to get along. Okay, so let's go ahead and start plating. Got some ham here. 3 pieces for him, 3 pieces for me. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands again. Ooh, I burnt my finger. So that's as easy. How long have we been on? 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I've been talking more than I've done anything. And so we're almost done with our breakfast. Like the only thing I've got and look at how beautiful these French toast are coming out. Look at that. That's a gorgeous French toast. That's a gorgeous French toast. Gorgeous. So we got that staying on there, warming up. We got our ham. We need to get our potatoes. Our potatoes are done. Look how gorgeous those potatoes came out. Look at that. Look how gorgeous those potatoes came out. Gorgeous potatoes. Gorgeous potatoes. Nice square. Look at that. See, aren't they nice though? That's why I like the square. I don't know. I kind of like the square. I didn't used to make them square. I used to make them half moons. It was just easier for me to cut half moons, you know? And that's what I did. Just cut half moons. Perfect. No potatoes. Look at that. Look at that. Every bit of the food we're making this morning is going to be used. Okay, so now we got to get these. Oh, I don't think we're going to be able to do eggs this morning. Plates are full. Plates are full, folks. Look at that. Tell me that's not a good looking meal. Tell me that's not a good looking meal. And to spice it up just a little bit more, you cannot forget the powdered sugar, okay? The powdered sugar has got to be added. So I just take a little pinch of my fingers and you just kind of drizzle it on the top, just like that. Then I make a mess, gotta wash my hands, and then wonder if it was all worth it. But I think it was. So here we go, folks. Here we go. Boom. Boom. Look at that gorgeous meal. Look at that gorgeous meal. All right, I'll be right back. We're going to go take it over to Glenn, and then we'll get started on our show. It's time for mine. Time for mine to be served. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. All right, let me get mine. Let me get some butter on it. I put butter on mine before I put my sugar on. Because I'm a love machine, folks. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. And I hope by me getting up and cooking breakfast, you got your butts up and decided to cook breakfast yourself as well. This is a very, very good, simple meal. You didn't have to take the time. If you just wanted to make the French toast, you could have just made the French toast. It's a meal in itself, but us here in the South, we have to add shit like meat and potatoes, okay? Why do we add the meat and potatoes? I think it's just because the people in the South like being fat and happy and like having a shit ton of calories first thing in the morning. I don't know. I haven't figured it out myself, but listen, I'm from the South, okay? I don't make the rules. I just have to live by them, all right? So we're going to be fat and happy. If that's what's required of us folks in the South is to be fat and happy, by God, I'm going to give the South what they require. Fat and happy. With a lot of syrup. Oh my God. Some freaking log cabin. Look at that flood of syrup. Oh, hell to the yeah. And then we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. Don't tell anybody. We didn't do this to Glenn's, okay? We didn't do this to Glenn's. We're going to do this to Betty's, okay? This is the secret. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, okay? Just a little bit. Just a little garnish on the top. That's all you need. That's all you need. Just a little garnish. Oh, there you go. Boom. Little garnish. Little garnish. That's all you need. That's all you need. Okay, folks, it's time to eat. I don't know about you, but I'm hungry. So let's sit down and chat. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to bring you guys around. Rub-a-dub-dub. Thanks for the grab. Yay, God. It's nice to see you all here. So we're going to have breakfast together, okay? Most people don't like this spot. So if it bothers you watching somebody eat, probably not the show for you. We'll be just fine without you. You can come back and you can fast forward through the chewing, the mooing, and the having a good time part, you know, and get back to the nasty part if you so choose. You know, we're all about, you know, either you living your best life, and if you living your best life requires that, well, by God, you deserve to live your best life. So we have 2 cases that we have been covering quite extensively. Listen to this, guys. We're going to have to hunt for Michael Monkey Vaughn. This was before I cataloged my stuff. I went to all of my, I've got 3, and I've only owned 3, so it's not like we're missing any. We've owned 3 computers, or 3, external hard drives. I gotta turn the air conditioner, it's hot. 3 external hard drives. And I've looked at all of them, and I can't find my files. I have dump files. Back in those days, I had dump files. That means when my phone got full, I would download the entire phone and wipe the phone. So I have to go back to all of my dump accounts to find my content on Michael Monkey Vaughn. But while I was going through all of this stuff, I realized this was the error when I first started this stuff and I was out with Jonathan. So there's a lot of content that I've never showed you guys from when Jonathan and I went out exploring. Like we went to this animal cemetery. We went to Ted Bundy's. The last child that he kidnapped from the middle school, we went to her grave. Like, I forgot all of these. This is content that I've got, that I've had for years. I never got around to telling those stories, because when you go out to places and get stories, another story might break. And when I was on the road a lot, we would be on the road covering one case, and another story would break, and we'd have to stop what we were doing and refocus on that breaking story. So some of this stuff got covered up by a lot of the breaking news when we first started out. So I'm going through this now, just going back in memory lane, but I think I'm pretty much over Jonathan now. I think I can go back and deal with it without having a complete utter mental, breakdown over it. But it's, I'm going back here because I was looking for Michael's stuff because I wanted to run, I was going to run a regular show, and I'm like, you know what? Today's Saturday. I'm already always short on time for Saturday. I didn't make hardly any meals this week for Glenn. I made stuff for myself, but it was just little stuff, sandwiches and stuff like that, not like meals, not like something that I'd pass, take over and give him a meal for. So I felt bad, and I said, well, I'll make breakfast this morning. And then I was already looking at the time because I didn't sleep well last night. We had a cold front move in. I've had neck surgery done. I've got a titanium plate in my neck. So whenever it gets cold, my body aches. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it has to do with the surgery or the titanium plate. I just know that ever since I had the surgery, I became a Doppler radar, okay? And so last night I was up and down, up and down, up and down, just in pure pain from the change in weather. It just does that. When we have hurricanes, it's the same thing. I go through the same process where I'm just up and down, If you guys haven't been getting my notifications, please go out there, and not right at this moment, but when we close this show down, go out there and unsubscribe and resubscribe to help trigger those notifications again every now and again, especially when we've been shadow banned. They do some funky stuff. So I want to make sure everybody's getting their notifications. So even if you're running by this on a replay crew, please unsubscribe and resubscribe if you did not get the notification. Many people have been complaining to me that they're not getting the notification, and the only thing I can think that's triggering it is the fact that we are coming off a shadow banning. And so now that we're getting through the shadow banning process, the numbers should start improving, and they should start kicking me out to more people. But still, it's still frustrating for me because this had not been pretty and not been fun. And it's all because I covered a story, Charlie Kirk, which I had every right to cover. They never removed not one video. They never struck one video, folks. That's what pisses me off. This has nothing to do with the content that I put out. It has to do with the fact that I put it out. And that's what upsets me. So either way, I'm not going to stop. Every day I let YouTube know that they're assholes, and I don't know if I'm going to take that off. I think I'm going to roll with it every single show. It's going to be in my description, every single show. Until we hear YouTube and other social media oligarchs taking responsibility and saying they're going to do stuff to protect the content creator, which we have not heard one time them step up to the plate and say they were going to be here for their content creator, because their platform would be nothing without us, period. The content creators are what brings people to this platform for them to even sell the advertisement. And we have to remember that. And I think all too often we forget. So anyways, Michael Monkey Vaughn, though, this whole case, I kept wondering if they had enough. I kept wondering, would they have enough? Because their DA was, working with them. I've got nothing to say. Like, there's some communities I go into where their law enforcement is just horrendous. Like, Sumner County is a great example. Horrendous law enforcement. And then you go into another place like Sullivan County and Kingsport, and you would think that, you're dealing with the same type of people, Tennessee and everything like that.
And the officers there bend over backwards to help a family find a loved one. And then you go to like Idaho. And same thing. JD Huff, he was amazing. From literally the beginning, he has been amazing. He was very, very clever in holding, like he had this, the suspects, under surveillance, and none of us were the wiser. They were really able to do a great investigation. And mind you, if you go back and go back to the beginning of this case, JD Huff kept the public up to snuff. Very, very, like on daily, and then every other day, then went weekly, then monthly. But he always kept the public up to date. And even with all of those press conferences, never let on that they had somebody in mind, that they were under surveillance. It was kind of like when we heard Stacy and Sarah Wandra, it was kind of bombshell information, because law enforcement was able to provide the public adequate, updated information regularly. They were able to perform their duties under the radar, and they were able to keep the public engaged. They had the beautiful balance that we like to see. And honestly, I saw it in Moscow, Idaho too. How Moscow, I will always applaud how Moscow, Idaho did the case, because they truly did have the whole world on their channel every day. They gave people stuff to talk about every day, right? They took the clever part that I think people mistake when it comes to the Idaho 4 and what Moscow, Idaho law enforcement did, is they drove the narratives that they wanted to drive. That's how clever law enforcement, and nobody noticed that. But law enforcement was driving the narrative. Everybody, even social media, the conversations we were having on social media was being driven by law enforcement because of their clever way in handling the public. They gave the public, these updates almost daily updates, whether they were press conferences or press releases. But every day they gave people something to chomp on. They gave them, how many detectives there were, when they gave them assignments too, right? Which was, again, clever. They gave them action items to do. They gave the public action items, like, here, this is where we need your help. For example, the white Elantra. We had no idea that they were looking for a car until they came to the public. Now everybody in the sun, what are they doing? What message is being driven? Law enforcement drove that message. Law enforcement took speculation away from us and gave us something to hunt, a white Elantra, one of the most common vehicles of college-age students across this country, of all places. But you know what? Week after week, we were looking and hunting for a white Elantra. They were very clever. And I wish and I hope that over time, law enforcement realizes social media is here to stay, and there is a huge true crime genre that's always going to be in their way. It's not going to change. We're always going to be in their way. So we need to start finding ways to counsel law enforcement to learn to coexist with us and learn and train them on how to live with us in this new dynamic of true crime out there. Because at the end of the day, they know constitutionally we have a right to be there. So they can't really do anything about it. If we step over the line, obviously they have a little more leeway. There are laws. But for the most part, we're going to be here. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. And, they've tried to shun us. They tried to go to the public and say, oh, social media. Well, that hasn't worked, right? They've been doing that now for several years, shaming social media. But time and time again, social media outperforms mainstream media. It's just, it is what it is. That's why a lot of the talking heads on mainstream media are starting to make the crossover to social media. They know that they're The bricks and mortars are coming to an end. This is the new reality of news. And we knew it long before they knew it, and they're starting to catch up. Now they have obviously the money and the power to push their people out a lot further than say we do here. But I'm good with mainstream media. I just like mainstream media being a little more fierce. When they're like the whole Melodee Buzzard case, why aren't they asking these questions? Like this whole story changed from what we knew at the beginning, and now they're trying to say that this child's dead. The mother, I'm the first one that believes a child's deceased when they're deceased. Okay, I'm sorry. This case is not ringing that, and it's pissing me off. This is what's pissing me off. That everybody is holding back the fact that she lived in Iowa before, when she ran off with Melodee before, to keep her from the family before. This is well documented in her history, as well as statements from her own mother-in-law, her ex-mother-in-law. And everybody is just like, oh my gosh, why would she take her to Nebraska? She must have done something horrible. She took her there and she left her and she came home without her. And she's not cooperating with law enforcement. Why would she cooperate? Let me ask you like this. How is it law enforcement's responsibility? Let's strip it all away. If we have a missing child, yes, that's probable cause. But they told us this child was missing for a year. We're up this lady's craw because we were told this child had been missing for a year. Come to find out, this child has not been missing for a year. She is not required to be around a family. She's not required to answer to law enforcement unless she does something criminal. And I beg of you, please produce me what she has done criminally to have this kind of attention. I just want to know, somebody produce me something she has done criminally or neglectfully of her daughter to provoke this. That's what I would like to know, and nobody can seem to give that to me, and I feel like I'm a crazy woman, and there's a piece of me, I'll be honest, deep down in my stomach that's telling me, oh my gosh, if this child is dead, or she really did do something to this child, how horrible that would be, and I'm balancing that, but there's this, that I have to trust my instinct. There is something gnawing at me, like chomp chomp baby, when it comes to this case, and I don't like that. When something's gnawing at me this freaking bad, and it has, you guys know I've come out swinging over this matter because I'm angry that I was told that this child was missing for a freaking year, and come to find out this child was with her mother, happy and healthy, breathing, not a bag of bones, doesn't look like she's taken her off. They're cutting up her house in this is how stupid it's getting. If they knew they took a live and well child out of California, they told us that they have her out of California, that they have her in Nebraska, and they know for a fact her mother did not bring her back. And we can see that she was breathing live and well. Why in the hell are they cutting holes in her wall? Like, I'm getting to the point where they're just really starting to grandstand on this because I think somebody dropped the ball. You've told the public more times than not that this child is nowhere in California. So the idea that her mother killed her and stuffed her body in a freaking wall makes absolutely zero sense to me because it doesn't go and bode with what they're saying. So I'm having all times, and I'm not trying to be, nasty about this, and I'm not trying to beat up our law enforcement, and I'm not trying to beat up, Ashlee Banfield or Vinnie Politan. I'm just saying, why aren't they asking these questions that I'm clearly seeing, and I know that these two people are smarter than me. Like, I've watched these two people for years, and I've watched them always ask consistently the right questions. Why not in this case? And it's really starting to bother me because I'm looking at this case, and you guys heard me. I looked at the mom. Go back, fact find me. I'm like, ooh, I'm not liking this. This is not... I feel like this child's dead. Go back and listen to my original comments. And then when this started coming out, I was still hook, line, and sinker. Oh, we saw her. And then it started, something Vinny said on his show started this different wheel process in my brain. It was something he said. I can't put my finger on it. what it was, but when he said it, I remember feeling like this overwhelming anxiousness. And I remember bellowing out, how do you know that? And I said that out loud. And that's when I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. And so I started looking at this a little differently. Why are we here? We are here because we heard a child had been missing for a year. That's why we're here. As soon as this child was found, she was found, right? Here she is. She's not missing for a year. She was found. But because mommy doesn't want to tell law enforcement or the county or the state where her child is, they're doing all of this to her. With what probable cause? You told us she was gone for a year. You found her. Here she is. Right here on October 7th. Breathing, alive. This is where case should have been closed. Right? We see the child. Again, we have to understand our government is here for us, and we pay our government a lot of money to follow the law. We give them an extraordinary amount of leeway to go into our lives under certain criteria. But they have to meet that certain criteria in order to dive into our life. And I'm having a hard time seeing them meet that certain criteria to be doing this to this woman. Whether her child is in a different state and not with her or not, who is the government to tell her where she can and cannot take her child? This is a slippery slope, folks. And I am very, 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 very concerned that, one, mainstream media is not talking about this, how this case changed. It changed from a year to her being found, okay? We were told she was missing for a year. She was found on October 7th to be happy and healthy with her mother, which has full custody of this child, full rights to make the decisions of where this child lives, where this child goes, without any type of interference or influence from the courts, states, or local government. So when she was missing a year, we give our government the right to intrude in people's lives to find out those answers. But when they are found, we don't give them a right to continue to turn a family's life upside down. She was found on October 7th. Let's not forget that. I have a problem with this case. I'm going to continue to have a problem with this case. And you know, again, I'm under the preface that this child is perfectly healthy and fine. And I'm under the preface that this mother took this child out of state and gave her to somebody. I do not believe that this child has been sold. Okay? I believe that this is a custody dispute with her in the state. Plain and simple. And they're willing to do all of this to apply pressure for her to hand over her child. For what? To go to the other side of the family? The family that tried to adopt this child, not help this mother before? It seems awfully funny that she's been able to take care of this child and keep this child alive for all of these years. And then all of a sudden, now, she's a threat to this child. I call bullshit. Okay? She could end this. She could end this. And you know, I think at this point she should. I see where her problem is. You know, this is her problem. And even if she's mentally ill or not, or just a person that everybody thinks is mentally ill because she doesn't want people around her child. She has PTSD or something. Who knows? I think she's scared that the state's going to try to take her child away. And until she's forced by the court to turn over her child, she's not going to do it. And quite frankly, I don't think she should. Because something stinks to high heaven here, and I can't put my finger on it. But I can tell you that many times that I said things have stunk to high heaven, we were right. I'm just saying. I got checklists, okay? She ain't hitting the checklist. I'm just saying this case isn't hitting the checklist. We got something afoot here. Is it law enforcement or is it her? You know? And I have to look at that. and no offense, law enforcement or school, but you guys changed your story. We went from a child missing for a year to a child missing days. And she wasn't even missing days. She was with her mother, and her mother took her wherever the hell her mother wanted to take her. Why? Because it's her mother's responsibility and right to do so. Parental rights gives this woman the right to do whatever the hell she wants to do with her child, as long as she's not abusing this child or putting this child in harm's way. And so far, they haven't produced one scintilla of information that she's put this child in harm's way, other than we have a paperwork issue at the school. And quite frankly, that's not good enough for Bullhorn Betty. You know? I think the mom is, we can't, and the problem is everybody's like, well, the mom's mentally ill. We have a lot of mentally ill parents that are taking care of their children, and their children are not being raised like we're being raised, okay? We can't take children out of the homes because we disagree with the way their mentally ill parents are raising them. It's still not abuse, and it's still not negligence. That's where people are we want things, and I get it. But unless that child is truly in danger, the hands are tied, and they should be. Can you imagine if you had your child and just somebody just didn't like you and sent the law enforcement to take your child because you're not raising your child the way they think you should be raising your child? Like, again, that's a majorly slippery slope. And nobody seems to be, talking about this aspect, and they're just all in that she's done something with this child. And I'm just like, am I the only one out here that believes that that this woman's being railroaded by the system? Of all people, Bullhorn Betty never says shit like that. And I'm getting this vibe so much that I'm being very, very, very public with it. Something ain't sitting right with me, folks. I wish I could put my finger on it. I wish somebody can say, you know what? She probably did do something with her child, but this is the reason why you're feeling that way. Like, I want somebody to be able to tell me that so I can get myself back where everybody else is, because I feel like, that everybody else is right and I'm wrong, but there's something deep in my stomach that's saying nobody's focusing on this aspect, and I think you need to. And I don't come up to bat for parents, but I haven't seen anything in this woman's background. You guys know me. I do my work. I haven't seen anything in this background that's making me hate her. Nothing. I actually understand why she did a lot of the shit she's done. I understand it. When you kind of put the timeline together and see where some of this stuff happened, I can understand why she doesn't like the in-laws. Like, I can understand it. In my opinion, I believe this is the fault of her late husband's family. He's trying to make her... Yes, that's where I'm at. The Devil's Queen. Right there. Right there. And I think maybe what it was with Vinnie Pop might be. I can't remember what triggered this, because you guys knew I was right on the same with everybody else, and then I watched this Vinnie Politan thing, and then like my whole entire conversation just did a 180. It was just like that. It did a 180. And now that it's done a 180, I feel like, I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I keep going back and questioning myself, am I really seeing what I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. I'm seeing what I'm seeing. So, it's just, I believe what I believe. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot that's going to change my mind about this, short of Melodee being deceased. Come to Nebraska and we'll go search. I have guest room. Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice. And I don't think she's in Nebraska. I think she's in Iowa. I really do. I think she met somebody, whatever family or friend she has in Iowa that she went. I mean, she went to Iowa once before. She would have went to any other state closer to California unless she knew somebody in Iowa. Okay? I'm sorry. I know people. There's a lot of things I don't understand, but I know people. And a woman's not going to run away from her in-laws and move to no place that they have ever been before, Iowa, by themselves. Somebody would have said, oh, come here. This is a safe place. This will be a great place for you to thrive with Melodee. So who would have done that? Most likely family. You know, I think she might trust friends more than she does family. She doesn't have good relationships with her family, you know? And I know people that don't have good relationships with their family typically, you know, have good relationships with friends. So she might have a ride or die out there, you know? I've got ride or dies all over the country. And if you don't know what ride or dies are, they're the people that are ride and die with you. You know, they're your Thelma and Louise people, right? Like Laura's my ride or die. Like if push comes to shove, I know she'll take a freaking Mack truck and run over somebody, right? I don't worry about it. Like me and my BFF got it like that, and she knows the same thing. If I ever saw anybody put their hands on it, it'd be a cold day in hell. Ride or die. Like we don't give up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has one. Everybody has one. And I have to think that this is either a family member or it's a ride or die. But it's somebody. I don't believe this child's been sold either. I don't see why would her mom do this now. You know, and I feel like I'm angry because I feel like, and I know that like Lore Lodge and Deception Detective totally and wholeheartedly disagree with the statement I'm about to make. But I've never felt that, well, when I was younger I did, but the Boulder, Colorado Police Department were the ones pushing the narrative that the Ramsey parents were responsible. When I got older and reviewed the case, I didn't believe that. I believed it was one of their friends. I believed it was the Whites, the one that gave the kids the bicycle. I believe that the night before when they had the kids party, I believe it was Mr. White that I think that's their last names, the best friends of the Ramseys. And he's the one that supposedly made that 911 call at the house. And I always thought the 911 call was to see how long it took for law enforcement to get to that house on a holiday. And I think that was accomplished by that phone call to 911. Well, it ultimately was the best friend of the Ramseys. And we know over time that in these cases, it's typically somebody that they know. And it seems like Patsy Ramsey, which many people believed was absolutely the one that was responsible for this, did that. Well, she was found to be cleared. Okay, they've cleared Patsy Ramsey of any wrongdoing with her daughter, cleared her. So she's off the table. There's nothing there that says mom did this to her daughter. So now we have to go to the father. I don't believe that the father would do this. I mean, he has destroyed his entire life trying to find who did this. And the fact that law enforcement still never tested the granate, or whatever it's called, for the garrote, I think it's called a garrote, for DNA is so insulting to the case, because that's something that would have had to have had pressure applied, that kept twisting and twisting and twisting. It was a very brutal situation, and the fact that it was proven somebody could have come into that house exactly the way that they came into the house, but because the Boulder police and the way that they were handling the case, it implied that the Ramseys were responsible. It implied that they had something to do with the child. They implied that Patsy Ramsey did this to her daughter. She has been cleared now. And it was because of what law enforcement, everybody out there, media, the public, were all hook, line, and sinker. But nobody could understand, well, why aren't the parents going to jail? It's because while law enforcement is deceiving the public, they're not having the probable cause to do this. And I feel like it's the same way with this lady here. I feel like somebody called in, made some type of official freak out saying, oh my God, we haven't seen this child in a year. Then they find out, no, we have seen this child. It was just a couple months ago. Everybody's making a big deal. But by this time, this case has gone viral. Now they can't stop because they still haven't put their hands on Melodee and the mom's not cooperating. Well, in my opinion, the mom doesn't have a duty to cooperate. Like, who the hell is this county? I mean, they have to have a reason. So far, they can't say that she's neglectful of this child. They can't say that she's abandoned this child. They can't say she's abused this child. I think they're literally trying to find abuse in this home. They're trying to hopefully find where she beat this child at some point and had some spatter on the walls that they can attest that might be some type of violent episode so they can try to arrest this lady. Like, it's getting to that point where they're just grasping at straws because they have no probable cause. And I've got a problem with that. I have a problem with that kind of policing. I have a problem with that kind of dynamic. Do I think at this point she needs to produce her daughter? Of course I do. You know, I'm concerned for her daughter's well-being at this point too. Why? Because law enforcement made me concerned. But then after we were in this case for a week, we find out that the details that we were originally concerned about aren't a concern at all. Because she was found on the 7th of October. They screwed up, and they want this lady to produce her child so they can take this child because they're the ones that screwed up, and they need to be able to cover it up. I'm at that point. That's where I'm at with this case. And I'm almost to the point where I don't believe she should comply. Until they have probable cause to force her to comply, I say the hell to the nah, because I believe this is government overreach. I think we're literally publicly watching government overreach at its finest. And look at how manipulative this has all been. I bet you when push comes to shove at the end of all of this, I am going to be right. We're going to find out this child's just fine. We're going to find out this child was put into somebody that this lady here said that this child could be in. And because law enforcement made this case go viral, they got to show they're doing something. They can't say, oh, well, we made a mistake and we don't have probable cause. That would really make them look like shit in an election season, wouldn't it? Interesting. So I'm not buying it. I'm not hook, line, and sinker with law enforcement on this. I want them to come clean. If they truly believe that this child's in danger, we should know exactly where in Nebraska we should be looking. Where did they stop in Nebraska? Where did she turn around in Arkansas or in Kansas? Why are they still playing games with us where the location of this child, if this child's in so much danger? Why is law enforcement still playing games with us like this? Has anybody questioned that? When have we ever? And not only that, but if this child, if they did have, let's go one step further. Where's the endangered child alert? Where's the Amber Alert? We don't even have those alerts. They didn't even meet the criteria for either one of those alerts. I want you guys to understand that. What are we looking at here? Are we looking at a missing child? Are we looking at a community railroading a mom? I don't know. I'm questioning this, but let's look at the facts. They don't even have probable cause for an endangered child alert. That should be our first clue. California does this to good families yet neglect. We've been talking about that, Devil's Queen. We certainly have been talking about that. I think I'm on the right side of this, folks. I really do. I think I am on the right side of this argument. And I'm pushing it very hard because I want it to go as far and wide as possible. I need your help to get that message out far and wide. We need people to talk about it. We need people to start holding law enforcement accountable and asking them these questions, because I'm telling you, when I see something, I see something. And I know that a lot of people don't have my brain, but I've been on, I come from a legal background. I'm very heavily involved in my politics. My county commissioners know me by personal name. My county commissioners have my personal phone number, okay? I'm very, very ultra political. I'm very, very active in my community. And I am very, very much a victim rights advocate. And so typically I'm cutthroat with parents. So in normal reality, when I have a case like this, I'm trying to raise money, which I even actually looked into going and joining forces and protesting in front of this lady's house, because that's what I do. I try to apply pressure where I can. But the more I started looking into this case, the more I realized this case is, because in the grand scheme of case, and I tell you guys this over and over again, it's the same case over and over again, just different faces, different names, and a few minor changes in the details, right? And this is not the first time you've heard me say that. If you guys heard me make that statement many times in the past, put a 1 in the chat. If you've never heard me make that statement this entire time you've been on my show, put a 2 in the chat. Oh, hey, Brown Chicken. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. Yeah, many of you guys have heard me. Mama hasn't heard me. Well, I've said it a lot over the years. I say it just about, like even in, I think just as recently as Sebastian Rogers' case, I'm like, the reason why, because everybody was accusing me, all you ever do is accuse the parents of doing this and doing that. No, I follow the evidence. The evidence is what tells me and leads me to that conclusion, and so I said it as early as Sebastian's case, this is and Lily and Jack's case, right? These are the same, we were accustomed to exactly the same type of cases over and over again, just different names, different faces, and a few slightly different details. But I'm constantly saying that, and it's true. So when we get a case like this where, we're expecting the mom, like I'm expecting the mom's story to change. And it kind of took me back. I had to take, gas, I had to gasp. Because here, for the first time that I can put my finger on it, this is where the school and law enforcement stories changed, not the suspect or the person of interest. And I'm like, because I keep going back over my notes, and it's like a year, 2 years, 4 years, of all these people she cut out of her life. So who hasn't seen her? Because it clearly wasn't the school that hadn't seen her for a year to 2 years. It was her family. So who truly called and kicked up this storm? Was it the in-laws? Was it her mother? Or was it truly, in fact, the school? And who called the school to notify the school? Was it the mom? Was it the in-laws? Like, I've got questions that I need to have answered here before I start advocating for this. We'll cut. Law enforcement in California is looking for this child, okay? I've said everything that they want me to say. We need to find this child. They believe this child somewhere in Nebraska, Kansas, and I believe the child may be as far over as Iowa, okay? So law enforcement's looking for this child. I personally don't believe they have probable cause to be looking for this child. I don't believe they have probable cause to be tearing this woman's life apart. And I believe that when they told us this child was gone for a year and they found her on October 7th in this video camera, the case should have been closed. She clearly wasn't missing for a year. And she was in her mother's custody where she's supposed to be. And in lacking of a court order, I don't see where the hell this county, the state, or law enforcement has any right to know where she took her daughter. I would be pissed if I got a knock at my door and a government official asking me where the hell I went. Who the hell do you think you are? Who the hell do you think you are knocking on my door asking me where the hell I went? That's none of your damn business. I don't know about you, but that is my attitude. And if you don't believe me, you can ask my own sheriff. He knows I back the blue. I love law enforcement. But I have cussed his sheriffs out. I sure have. They pissed me off. I cussed them out. Trust me, I'm one of those people that'll tell you to get bit no matter who you are. You step on my toes, I step right back. You raise your voice with me, I raise mine right back. You're shitty to me, I'm shitty right back. You want to come to me and be peace, love, and everything else, a kumbaya moment, I'll give you your kumbaya moment. But when you get your kumbaya moment, you want to keep it there. Because you escalated from that point, I escalated further. And if you don't believe me, ask my mama. I've been like this my whole life. It's not nothing special. It's not nothing special. But I am a nice person until I'm not. All these people claiming mental illness. That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether she's mentally ill. And not only that, but you know what? This idea that people don't have breaks in their lives. We've heard of midlife crisis, right? It's not, this idea that people don't have points in their life of mental instability is ludicrous. So she had a moment when her whole world felt like it was falling in and she broke. There's a lot of women out there that come to these rooms every single day that watch me that have been through the same exact things. Sometimes life sucks to the point it breaks you. This woman got up, off. She dusted herself off and fought for her baby. That's what we expect, no? And I'm sorry, I have a problem with the fact that her child's father died, and instead of the in-laws helping support her and keeping this child in the house with her mother after her father died, shows the character and integrity of that entire family that was willing to do that. Because you know what normal families do? Normal families come together and they work very hard to make sure that child stays with that mother. Not try to make a play or a pass for the child to come stay with them full time. That's not being family. That's not being family at all. And to think that you think it's okay to pull a baby that's lost her father away from her mother? I don't understand the logic. I can understand why she's very angry with that side of the family. I can understand why she's very hurt from that side of the family. I can understand why she wants nothing to do with that side of the family. And I can understand why she never wants them to see her child again. I can understand those behaviors and actions, and she's being punished for that now. Oh, the in-laws haven't even seen the child. Well, so what? That's her choice. If you had a family that was trying to take your child, trying to talk to your child, trying to have your child say stuff back, you know how that crap goes. So what'd you do this weekend? Was your mommy mean to you? Right? You know how that crap goes. Because she didn't want to deal with that. She had every right to take her child out of that. Every blessed right. So again, it comes down to me asking my public, asking my audience, like, seriously, what has this woman done wrong? And what requires her to tell law enforcement anything? Just because you have a child doesn't mean law enforcement or anybody gets to come into your house and tell you what you can and cannot do with that child, right? If you're not injuring that child. And we have to understand this, folks. We're not talking about, and I know this is going to make people upset about what I'm about to say, but just because people aren't living like us, you know, they may live in a little more squalor than we live in, right? It doesn't mean that they're neglectful, abandoned, or abusive to their children. It doesn't mean their child it deserves to be removed from their home. I want children removed from homes that are lethal, that are abusive, that aren't taking care of their children. I'm not, you know, I unfortunately, I'd love every child to be raised like I was raised, in part, not the abuse, but, you know, with the loving mom. I know my mom loved me. I know my dad loved me. Our lifestyle, as you guys know, was a little chaotic. It wasn't always chaotic, but when it was chaotic, it was really chaotic. It was bad, really bad. But at the end of the day, I came from a family that loved me. I came from a father that loved me and a mother that loved me. A lot of children don't understand that and don't know that. And in this case, Melodee lost her father that loved her. But unless, short of doing something wrong, short of breaking the law, civilly or criminally, law enforcement has no right to be in your house. They have no right to be in your parenting. And I know sometimes we like to have that control, and many times we do, especially when these children have been missing. But we were told this child was missing for a year. When they saw this child on October 7th, that was when this child was found. So this illusion that we're still looking for a missing child, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're not looking for a missing child. A state is trying to make a mother produce a living child that she does not want to produce because she took this child out of their jurisdiction. And I think in this case, she might have been rightfully so to do that. This is going to be a very interesting case for me because I very rarely come out like this. I've never seen a case like this, first and foremost. This is a first for me. And it seems very traditional if we were to listen to law enforcement, but when you look at the details of this case, the details of this case is anything but normal for me. I want to know where law enforcement has a right to force this woman to produce this child. I think and I just want to make sure, because I know Mama Bear was in here yesterday. I want to be very clear. I think at this point, with as big as this case has gone, despite whether they're violating her law or her rights or not, which I do believe they are violating her rights, I think she needs to have whoever put her on a video camera from wherever she is, so she can see that she's healthy, and be done with it. Anything over and above that, I don't think she should be required to do. Should they want to see if the child's happy and healthy, put her on a voicemail, a FaceTime, let them talk to the law enforcement, be done. Do not bring that child back to California. They do not have jurisdiction over that child right now. Don't give it to them. Don't give it to them. So now the FBI's involved. They have jurisdiction. But again, FBI has to work in the same confines as law enforcement. They have to have probable cause. And I don't see where anybody has probable cause. I think that's where this case is going. And it was just an epiphany while I was here on the show that, you know, they don't even have an active Amber Alert or an endangered child alert. They have no probable cause, folks. They have no probable cause in the eyes of missing children to even have an endangered missing child alert. There's no endangered missing child alert for this child. Why? Hey, Mama Bear, it's nice to see you, Love Bug. Does that not, I mean, like, even like Ashlee Banfield and Vinny, why isn't anybody asking these questions? I love these people. Well, I don't really care for Ashlee Banfield. I'm all right. She's just not my BFF. I love Vinnie Politan. I love Nancy Grace, you know. I love these people, and I just want to like, wake up. Something's not right here. We need to be raising the roof. We need to be out there on the roof with our bullhorn. There's something not right with this case. There's something not right with this case, folks. Something's not right. And I'm not going to kowtow because law enforcement wants me to. I'm sorry. I'm just not built that way, folks. This in-law's using the court. I think, Devil's Queen. I really do. I do. I don't know. I thought this child was dead. I don't think this child was dead. I think, and now that law enforcement knows that this child wasn't missing for a year and they're still going down this, I feel all kinds of filthy. I just think something needs to go on. But I'm interested in what the courts do. But I think we need to get the UCLA involved in this. Like, I really do. Like, this is our whatever it is. That's the University of California. No. What's the UL? What is it? The Union's Liberty, whatever. I think that she needs somebody like that. I hope she's got an attorney that's representing her with all this questioning, because they're not questioning her as a witness. They're questioning her as a suspect, and she's entitled to a lawyer. And if anybody's out there, she needs a lawyer. So I think so. ACLU, there it is. Thank you, Oakley. Somebody needs to be calling the ACLU for her and getting them involved, because I really do think this is government overreach. And this is the kind of stuff that the ACLU eats up. Best French toast. That's the trick. Egg, vanilla extract, a little bit of brown sugar, some cinnamon, nutmeg, milk. Mix all that up. Oh, good gracious. And then a little bit of powdered sugar on top. Oh, put a fork, I'm done. Put a fork in it, I'm done. There we go. There are victim advocates for courts and police. I know, but it doesn't seem, I don't know who's helping her, but I hope somebody is. I'm just not seeing this child deceased. I'm not seeing this child in harm's way. I'm not seeing this child being abused. Like, I was expecting to see a child in skin and bones, or I was expecting the child to be dead. This child's not dead. This child was alive on October 7th. Sorry, Oakley. Ooh, I'm pouring and pouring and pouring my brew. Ooh. get up and start making some French. How many people decided to make French toast this morning? You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't even eat sweets in the morning. I think it's too sugary. I had a very, very sugary breakfast. A very, very, probably not the healthiest. I think the only thing healthy is my ham. I got ham. But potatoes, starch, sugar. I want bacon. I got bacon. I got bacon. Oh, that's what we're going to have tomorrow. We're going to have McBetty's. McBetty's tomorrow morning. McBetty's. Oops. And I'll put some of this honey ham on there. Oh, I'm gonna try this out. I went to Detweiler's, and I like Gouda. I like different types of cheese. And so this is Gouda. This is a cranberry Gouda. I'm not even a cranberry fan. So I'm going to end up cutting this down. I don't know what I'm going to make with this, but it's going to be, it's really, really good cheese. It really is. I got to try a taste of it. Look at this little wedge. This little wedge. $5 for this little tiny wedge. Cheese is too damn expensive. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to build a cheese factory. We need to reduce the cost of cheese. I need to figure out how to make cheese. I got cheesecloth. Does cheesecloth go bad? I think I bought it 20 years ago. I was always meaning to try to make some cheese. Oh, that's good. Some baked mac. Ooh, but this is cranberry Gouda. You can see the cranberry speckles all in here. See this cranberry? I think it needs to go. I don't know. I feel like it needs to. I don't know. I do need to maybe it needs to be melted and poured on. Maybe I'll use this for my. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But it was good. If all else fails, I'm going to chop it up, cube it up, and stick a toothpick in it and just eat it. That's what it is. Does anyone here not like bacon? I've never known anyone who doesn't like bacon. I love bacon. Like I put bacon, I'll put bacon on anything. I put bacon on my clam chowder. I put bacon on my pizza. I put bacon. I'm a bacon fanatic. I would put bacon in just about everything that I put garlic in. If I could afford to. If I could throw that out. Texas bacon and sausage are good. Well, you know what? I went when we all stayed in that room, we were doing an event for Sebastian. And so the Karens, his aunt, the Mathises, we all stayed at this place. Where was I going with that? Oh, Bright Bacon. And so it was one of the Karens. They were a fanatic about Bright Bacon and cooking it in the oven. I've never cooked bacon in the oven. I'm from the South. We cook it on the frickin' stove and make a greasy mess everywhere, right? That's the Southern way. And they did this stuff in the oven, which was the first. But I gotta tell you, now that I had that Bright Bacon, I don't know if I'll ever eat any other bacon. I mean, I got some cheap bacon there because I couldn't afford Bright Bacon this week, but I pretty much keep, and you know what I do with the Bright Bacon? I cut it in half. So because it's so thick, I cut it in half and I throw half of it in the freezer. So I break it up so it never goes bad. I just can't eat that much bacon. I'm sorry, I just can't. I had a Chick-fil-A spicy pretzel chicken club yesterday. So good. Pricey, but good. Occasionally I'll go to Chick-fil-A. They are pretty pricey though. But it's good. You know, you know that your meat's like antibiotic free, and you know it's going to a good business model, one that believes in everything that we believe in, and are super successful. I still can't figure out how Hobby Lobby stays open like they do and flourish. I mean, they're another good Christian company, but I see Hobby Lobbies popping up, and I go in there. I can't afford Hobby Lobby. I can't. I'm like I just. We went to Hobby Lobby for Gabby Petito, but I wasn't paying for that. That was being paid for by the people that were donating the money for the memorial, and they were donating a lot of money, so it needed to be nice. So I went to Hobby Lobby and got a lot of the decorations for the Gabby Petito memorial, but the people were paying for that quality, you know. But for me personally, like if I were doing gifts or doing something, I can't go like Hobby Lobby is too damn expensive for me. I love their design. I wish I could support them more, but the only time I can ever support Hobby Lobby is when we're doing memorials and the whole world is paying for the memorial, you know? I cook in an oven now. Like it works, it does work well. I cook my bacon in the oven. It just it for a whole host of reasons, but mostly because it's cleaner. You don't have the kind of mess. I mean, all your grease stays in a pan that you can dump out. Like I don't even do that. I just line the pans now with a tin foil, and I leave the tin foil out until it hardens, and then I just roll the tin foil up. I don't even clean the pan anymore because I don't have to. The pan doesn't get icky. I got Hobby Lobby, go Hobby Lobby weekly. I'm on a fixed income. I don't know how you do it. Well, you know, I guess they're, you know, when they have sales, their sales have always been good, but like when I was getting it, I got those big wood metal signs that, I don't know, like this big, the GABBY, you know, to make it really nice and stuff like that. I finally just had to shovel them up. They all finally broke apart out there on the side yard, so those are going to the graveyard. I'm going to get new ones. My poor little memorial, Gabby memorial, which I've had on the side of the yard for years, it's finally just, life is just eating it up. I've salvaged the I love road trip signs, which is half rusted, which it was, you know, it was vintage anyways. It was already had like, you know, the make-believe rust on it. Now it has the real vintage rust on it. And the angel, the little angel, I've got that. But as far as the pumpkin, the Gabby letters, I just went out there. I just had to take a shovel and pull them out of the ground, and they just fell apart. So those got to go. But everything for Gabby Memorial, it's gone. All I've got is one little pumpkin left. One of those little, and it's so bleached. Like the pumpkin doesn't even look like the pumpkin we had out there. I still have her face, you know, where the head came off. I kept that all these years, the original, but it'll never be fixed, you know, for display purposes. It's just, I kept it because it's the original. The only thing that I've got left from that are the signs, the ones that were done by O.J. Simpson. What was it? Not O.J. Simpson. I can't remember what his name was. O.J. something. And he drew the one where it was Stephen Bertolino. Dog the Bounty Hunter had Brian Laundrie in a headlock. The Dirty Laundry one, he drew all of these, and then he had them printed. And so the people that had them, that gave them, they gave them to me for safekeeping. And so I've kept them all these years. I finally got, you know, frames for them, so they're up in the office. They hang around the office, but yeah, memorials they do get expensive. Well, because you know, especially for the kids, you got to buy all the stuffed animals. I mean, they do get costly, but believe it or not, people send, when we do those memorials, there's been, I think the one that we did, Gabby's, I think was the cheapest, and we did a lot for her. I think I collected like $400 or $500, and so we managed to get that really souped up really quickly. But I can't remember what we got for Quentin's. It seemed like it started out with like a couple $100, but it just kept growing and growing and growing, and people started sending stuff there. People started sending me cash to go buy this, that, and the other for that. You know, cards and signage, and we'll do it when we're out there, boots on the ground and stuff like that. We'll take the time and do whatever our audience wants us to do, because they're not out there to do it. And if they're you know, paying for stuff and we can do it, we will. You know, we'll go if we need to go to Walmart and pick up stuff for you know Susan Doe and Washington, then we'll go to this. She'll send me $20. Say go pick this up, and I'll go to Walmart and pick this up and take a picture of the receipt and show it to her, and all's good. So. What was the super secret project? Oh, you missed it. I'd already told you. Speaking of donations, it was we sent Seth. I thought you were in the chat when we did that. We sent Seth, but I didn't want him going by himself, so we sent 4 other people with him because they wouldn't let us do pass around flyers of Sebastian. So we ended up sending 4 or 5 people out there. There's sorry, it doesn't sit right on the camera, but we had people dress in Sebastian clothing, and we sent them out to the Pig Fest, and they had dinner. So the only way we could get them in there is to pay for them. So they wanted to be assholes and tell us that we couldn't hand out flyers on the outside of the event. Then I sent people in there with the event. I sent Venmo. Yeah, I know. I actually said, I called you out. I'm pretty sure you need to go. Does anybody remember which one that was? Because I even said, Lisa B. Always, I called you out, and I called somebody else out and said, you guys were pretty much, you guys had the lion's share of I think you donated, like $50 or $60 toward it. And somebody else donated $50 toward it. I couldn't remember who it was, but I called you out and told the other person, I'm sorry, I forgot who you were, but I think you guys would be cool with it. And so I brought it up. Yeah, I thought you were in the chat when I did that. Oh, I am so sorry. Miss Delilah, quit looking at the door. Nobody's coming into Delilah. Nobody's coming in the damn door. What are you barking at? Don't growl at me. Come here. Come. Better stretch. Come. What are you barking at? Huh? Come. You know how to get up here. What are you barking at? Oh, you want some hammy? You like some hammy? Want some hammy? Mom's so rude. She didn't even offer you any ham here. You want some ham? It's honey ham. You should like it. No? You don't want honey ham? What do you mean? Lick it. You don't even lick it? Want a potato? No? No potato either. Huh? Okay. Well, then get down. I didn't want anything. She growled. Tony said she growled because I cussed. If that was the case, this dog would be behind me growling all day long. Because what you guys don't know won't kill you. We had 2 memorials for Quentin. Now, unfortunately, yes, they stole it. Put it behind, but it didn't belong to them. Thousands of dollars on Quentin. Thousands of dollars. And they brought out a pop-up tent to keep it good, and then they just grabbed we got it all set up on the stuff. It was all orchestrated. They just wanted to get it onto the stuff, and as soon as we got the stuff on the tarps and got the tarp over it, we come out there and they just basically took the whole thing and drug it behind the fence. They're just greedy people. That whole family was rotten. BJ, I wish her a lifetime of hell until she gets her life together, which I don't think she's even gotten her life together to this day. I think that woman has ruined her entire family. I think she has a lot to repent for. 2 of her children are in jail for homicides. 2 of her children. That is a direct result of her parenting. It's a direct result of the abuse that those children had to live through under their own mother. How does one parent produce 2 murderers? A lot of abuse. A lot of secrets. That's how. Leilani, she was a product of her own abuse. Everything that I see from her brother to her son, Quentin, I blame BJ. I blame BJ for every bit of it. Every bit of it. Every bit of it. That woman is evil. Evil is the only, and she doesn't even know how evil she is. She thinks everybody's just being mean. She's evil. And she's disgusting. So I wish her nothing but pain. Because she's done nothing but give pain to everybody else. She deserves just desserts. She deserves just desserts. 2 out of 3 children are murderers. Well, I think the other one was helped in both of them. So, just saying. Just saying. No, don't say that yet. That's usually how I get her back over here. Oops. I get her back over here by saying the N word. She's still waiting here. Oh, she popped her head up. She's looking at me. My Teddington ate some of my pumpkin. My Teddington ate some of my pumpkin. Oh gosh. Did you guys? Oh yeah. How did Halloween go last night? Did you guys? I got no one. I got no one. Nobody ever knocks on these doors. When I was in my other house over off of 64, we went through pounds, 30 or 40 pounds of candy every year. It was literally, if you guys know anything about a pound of candy, it's like $20 a pound. So, I mean, you're talking about like $100, $120 for candy every year at the other house. When we moved over here, I bought like 20 pounds, a lot of candy. We didn't get our first kid. Ever since I've been here, I've never gotten a kid knock on my door here. Ever. And I miss it because I remember over in the other neighborhood, they'd like the little baby. Oh, good God. The babies, when they dress the babies, the little babies up. Oh my gosh. Talk about pity patter. That stuff gets right here. It's hard not to go, oh, I miss those. I miss all the kids. Like even the kids across the street. The parents across the street had one of these go-kart or the golf cart rentals. But it's one that had 3 different rows in it. And he had a rental company drop that off and he loaded that up on his trailer and he took him and his family and that golf cart over to a rich neighborhood. They park the truck, get on the golf cart and take the kids around the rich neighborhood. Like, oh, good gracious. And they blend because they're on a golf cart, right? An extended golf cart. Like this golf cart's like $20,000, but he rented it for the night, I'm way out. I didn't get anyone. Yeah. I had chocolate. I had candy here just in case. I always have candy around the house just in case, right? And chocolate. I had Almond Joy. Figured if anybody came here, I'd throw an Almond Joy at them. Kind of, sort of. But nobody came. So I got up in the middle of the night and ate an Almond Joy. I don't feel guilty at all. I don't feel guilty at all. Oh, morning, Donna. It's nice to see you. They aren't really any kids in my neighborhood. Well, there's kids in my neighborhood, but I don't think people trust. Like, I'm not too far from bad parts of the area. This particular road is kind of middle class, lower middle class road, but it's not the ghetto. And even though the ghetto prices are, their houses over there are still. Can you imagine buying a house in the ghetto for $200K? In Manatee County, we have houses in the ghetto that go for $200,000. I don't know why that tickles me pink, but it does. Who the hell's paying $200,000 to live in the freaking ghetto? I'm just saying. I don't know what idiot would do that, but apparently we got a lot of them. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. Good morning, Grave Crime with Grace. It's nice to see you. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to have breakfast with you guys. I wanted to have some crime talk with you guys. So if you guys are just coming in, don't forget to hit the like button on your way in or your way out. But we did go over Michael Monkey Vaughn. I couldn't believe, if you guys are just coming in, I could not believe the difference in the appearance of Stacey Wandra. He lost a significant amount of weight. I mean, a significant amount of weight when he was before the judge yesterday for his extradition hearing. He is not fighting extradition. Once he's done with whatever he's dealing with Arizona, they're going to be shipping him over to Idaho as long as he doesn't have any infractions in Arizona, they're going to move him over to Idaho. They're going to extradite him back to Idaho within the next 30 days. He has been charged with homicide. It sounds to me, I didn't check his actual charges, but it sounds like it's first degree. It's first degree homicide, and there's other charges. There's not just that. There's I can't remember. I want to say like failing to report a death, but I feel like it should be abuse of a corpse. But we don't know. We don't know what they have on them yet. We do know it's a homicide charge. Justin for All with Clutch the Pearls was the one that broke that with Josh the Lab. Mainstream media has just put out some new information. I did watch the video on the extradition of Stacy Wandra. He asked the judge some questions. The judge asked him some questions, made sure that he was of sound mind to make the decision to come back and not fight extradition. The judge approved it. They're not going to fight extradition. The state of Idaho has 30 days to come collect him. I'm pretty sure they're going to be collecting him very quickly. I heard that Sarah Wandra is going to be charged in short order. If she hasn't already been charged yet, she's going to be charged in the coming weeks with the same type of charges. And then they're going to be going after Adrian as well as Brandon. So the house of cards is crumbling. It looks like finally we're getting to a place. Oh, thank you, Lisa. We're getting to a place where it looks like we're gonna have a criminal trial, and Brandy's gonna be here for it. She looked really well. I watched a video of her without her feeding tubes, so she is now gaining some weight. Sure, her color looks really good. She looked really, really happy for the circumstances. She'd lost a piece of her heart, and then she almost lost her, her liver stopped functioning. And so she was still trying to mend her heart, which will never be mended, while she was fighting for her life. And it looks like she's finally on this side of the battle, with a lot of, I'm praying that it stays that way with, different organs and stuff. You could be just fine, just fine, just fine. And then one day wake up and things are not fine. So we're going to keep, praying over her for her liver. And right now we're going to pray for her for some strength. So while she's happy about these guys being locked up, she still has to go through a trial. And folks, I'm going to tell you, that is very brutal for any family to go through a trial, to go through hearing what they believe happened to their loved one. This is a 5-year-old little boy when he disappeared, 5 years old. Just a little guy. I can promise you this mother and this father are not prepared for this trial. But I believe that Brandy's going to be strong. Tyler's going to be strong. They're going to manage to get through all of this. But it does give me hope for Summer Wells, because I was starting to get to a point where I didn't think this day was going to come. And here it is. So hopefully there's some other good news and other stories coming down the pike that we can start talking about as well. So, all right, guys, that's really all I have. Thanks for coming and having breakfast with me, learning about a little more details about Michael Monkey Vaughn, letting me bend your ear on my major, major concerns with Ashlee Buzzard and the Melodee Buzzard case, and just my feelings on this. I don't have these feelings at all in any of the cases that I've covered, but I've never been presented with a set of facts that I've been presented with in this particular case, and they're not jiving, folks. They're just not. Something's not right here. I'm not going to sit here and mislead my audience. I'm just not going to do it, and I'm hoping I'm not. I really, truly feel there's something not right here, and I've got to trust myself. I've trusted myself all these years doing this up to this point. There's been very few times we've been wrong when we've had when we've got our gut instinct this strong. Even with Travis Decker, the most recent one, I went completely against law enforcement. I told everybody what law enforcement wanted us to tell them, just like I'm doing here. You know, we need to find her. But I also expressed my biggest concerns that he was close by and he was deceased. And it took many months, and I actually started doubting that I analyzed my case wrong. And then all of a sudden, months later, after me coming to acceptance that I analyzed the case wrong, come to find out I didn't analyze the case wrong, and I was accurate, and I went against what law enforcement said, and I came under a little bit of scrutiny because of my statements that I made about Travis Decker. Because law enforcement were looking for a man that they thought was a monster that unalived his 3 children, was on the run trying to elude police. And I was looking at this case that this is a man that completely broke down, was at the lowest point in his life, and at that lowest point, took his children out with him, that he was going out. And I knew he was deceased within a couple miles of those girls somewhere. I knew it. I just felt it. And I kept saying that. And it defied everything that law enforcement was telling us, and it defied everything that mainstream media was telling us. And I kept to my convictions. I kept to my my research and my analysis of the case, and my taking into consideration his history and his past behaviors. And I really looked at a lot of different things that maybe law enforcement wasn't looking for at the time, or maybe mainstream media wasn't looking for at the time. And I explained all that to you guys, and why I felt the way I felt in that case. And we were right. It took months. I, again, doubted myself. And this is another one of those cases where I feel like I'm right on this, but there's still that self-doubt in the back of me, like, what if something really is wrong? What if I'm looking at this wrong, and I'm not taking something very seriously when it comes to this mother, and she really did hurt her child? And here we are, I'm arguing with whether law enforcement has a right to even investigate, and here this poor little child is deceased, and it's just very heartbreaking. My heart would be broken if we find out those details. And it's really hard, especially when I don't have to provide my opinion. I can just commentate. But one of the things that I think that sets this show apart from a lot of the other people is we do take positions on these after we do some research. We do take positions on what we think is going on. We've always taken those positions on this channel. And for me not to take the position when I see something very clear is, I feel like it's almost malpractice, like I'm doing my audience a disservice, because they're not looking into this. They're trusting that I'm looking into this. And when I look into something and I'm seeing something that somebody else isn't seeing, I'm going to vocalize that, because one, it'll make people dive into that aspect to see if it holds water or not. And two, if there's something that contradicts it, people are very happy to provide that to you, right? And so I'm looking for that. I'm looking for people to prove my theory wrong, which seems to be the case. A lot of the times how I get a lot of the information is because hate channels are like trying to always prove me wrong. And so they send me information that helps either solidify my, support my information, or it helps me prove my theory wrong to move on to the next one. Either way you look at it, it's progress. So bless you, and especially for giving us all a home. Aw, thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. So that's kind of where we're at with this case. But I'm telling you, I don't normally, you guys know me, you've watched me for years. I don't normally stick up for a mom like I am Ashlee, but I'm seeing something here that I don't normally see in cases. And when I try to figure out what am I looking at, what are we, I have to go back to the beginning, which you guys know I do often. When I start getting hung up on stuff, I go back to the beginning of the case. And it took me a little time, a couple times, but I don't think it really popped until that Vinnie Politan segment, and it just really helped isolate what my worry box was, right? And it's coming down to the fact that we were told this child was missing for a year, and she's not. She clearly was found on October 7th when she was with her mother where she was supposed to be, therefore not missing. That mother has a right to drive her child anywhere she wants to drive her child. Okay? She has no court order. There's nothing that they can produce to me that shows me from the 10th of October to the 14th when they decided to go forward with the missing child report, what crime she committed between there, where she abused this child, where she abandoned this child. The government's not entitled to know where you travel or where you place your child. They just don't. You show me a statute or a law that forces me or you as a parent to tell some off government official what we're doing and where we're going. You show me the law that tells us that, or that forces that out of us. And I'm looking at this, okay, well, when this child was missing for a year, they had a right to ask her that. But when they found this child in her care where this child was supposed to be on October 7th, well, then they knew whatever they were hunting was wrong. There she is. She's happy. She's healthy. She's of perfect, maybe not perfect body weight, but she's of good body weight. You can see it clear as day on those videos. I see no bones poking out through those very thin clothes. She was wearing tights, was she not? Do you see bones? I see a plump leg. I don't see a bony leg. So I got problems here. This child was missing for a year. She was found on October 7th. What's the problem? Why are we still here? And I'm going to keep asking that until somebody can give me a good explanation, because I don't see how law enforcement has the right to do any of this. We believe in parental rights here on this show, okay? A lot of those parental rights we have to encroach on when they violate statutes or put children in harm's way. And we do believe that at the beginning, Ashlee did violate statutes and did put her child in harm's way. But when we realized that that was not the case, that's where the case should have ended. But no, they're in this case, now they must put eyes on this child. Now law enforcement wants to see this child. This woman is terrified that if they see that child, they're going to take this child away from her. She's not complying. It's her prerogative. She has a right to remain silent. Let's not forget that. In this particular scenario, Betty's going to be defense attorney Betty in the Melodee Buzzard case. Until we find out some more information, until we find out that what we're hearing, the rumors we're hearing are true, that mom's a freaking mental basket case that has abused her child and put her child in harm's way, until we actually see some real evidence that supports those claims, get the heck out of here with this. Somebody needs to tell me why law enforcement is up this woman's craw. And people need to be asking those questions. I'm telling you, something's not right here. I know that the more I talk about it, the more you guys are also, looking into this and saying, wait a minute, she is right. This doesn't sound right. This isn't normal. This isn't our normal case. This isn't our normal missing child case. It's not. Something's stinking to high heaven here. And it's our responsibility to make sure, we hold people accountable. Mainstream media doesn't hold people accountable. Social media does. Mainstream media has been lapdogs. We've been the pit bulls. I'm waiting for mainstream media to become the pit bulls again, I would like to be using a lot of their content to help support some of my content. But right now, I can only use it as an example of why my content is better, right? So I really would like to have some I'd like to see Ashlee Banfield stepping up to the plate and asking some of these tough questions. I would like to see Vinnie Politan stepping up to the mic and asking some of these tough questions, because this story has changed quite a bit. We went from a year to her. She's not missing. She's not missing. Why is this mother pulling up missing? Because her child is not missing. Her child was missing before, in the eyes of the courts and the law. Her child was missing for a year prior to the report that they executed on October 14th. Nobody had seen this child in a year. As soon as they found this child on October 7th, their case should have been closed. Clearly, the child's not missing. The child that's the proof. The child was with the mother exactly where the child is supposed to be. The mother rented a car. The mother took the car out of state. This is the second time she's taken a car and taken a child out of state. She went to Iowa the first time. This time she went to Nebraska. All the same direction. She's got family in Nebraska. She's got family in Colorado. And she's obviously got somebody she knows in Iowa. None of these things are being told by mainstream media, which they have the factual information just like Bullhorn Betty, and they're keeping these aspects under wraps. Why? It's pretty manipulative, if you ask me. It's pretty manipulative, if you ask me. We will not manipulate our public. We will not manipulate our audience. We come here for the truth and the only the truth. We love to support law enforcement, but we also know that it's our responsibility to also hold those entities accountable into following the law as it is written. And when we feel like things are being overstepped, we must vocalize that as well. And here, this is smelling like government overreach. It feels like they're overstepping their authority. And I've got a problem with that. And I'd like that worry box closed so I can move on and properly analyze this case so we can help bring Melodee home if she is missing. But it's my belief she's not missing. It's my belief her mother took her out of state to keep the state from her. And I think she did exactly what she needed to do to keep her child in her custody. I don't see why she would be in jeopardy of losing her child. It sounds like a paperwork issue at the school. But there might be other details that we don't know. You know, maybe the mother is very, very mentally ill, and that's an aspect I'm not willing to entertain without some evidence. Sorry. And they haven't been able to produce any legitimate evidence of recent time to produce that this lady is a threat to herself or a threat to her child. Nothing. Law enforcement has produced nothing. The school has produced nothing. It seems like razor thin reasons. She didn't do paperwork. She didn't complete assignments. It sounds like she forgot to sign an affidavit and assignments weren't provided to the child because of that. Therefore, no assignments were completed. Not that the child was missing. So, anyways, you guys make your own decision. Send me your thoughts. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. bullhornbetty@gmail.com. And if you guys do see Jonathan Lee Riches, ask him, should I keep the fork? Should I mail it to him? Or should I throw it away? I'm still trying to decide what to do with this fork. I accidentally brought it home one time and never got a chance to take it back. So, anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Again, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you later this afternoon. I'm not sure where, but Delilah's ready to go play ball. I'm going to take her out, throw it out. might be why I have such bad luck in this house. It's like the bad omen of the house. He had the set. I didn't want to steal the set. You know, I didn't want to break the set up. I didn't want to have to buy a new set because Bullhorn Betty has his fork. I wonder if this conversation would be different if it was the spoon. I don't know. Okay, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. God bless you. We'll see you soon.